Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Medium's Table. I'm your host, Michelle Gardner. This podcast is your personal invitation to join me at the intersection of the everyday and the extraordinary. Together, we'll explore the magic of mediumship, share spiritual stories, and connect with fellow mediums on this incredible journey. So grab a seat, pour yourself a cuppa, and come join us at the Medium's Table, where spirits gather and stories unfold. Disclaimer, just a heads up to all our lovely followers. Our social media is a space where we share personal stories, including those of various mediums. Let's keep the vibe positive and respect each other's beliefs. Every journey is unique, and here we celebrate the diversity of experiences. On today's show, I'd like to welcome back longtime friend, Kim Liddell. Welcome back, Kim. It's such a pleasure to have you back on the show.
Thank you. I'm actually very excited to be here with you as well, Michelle, and it's always great to see you.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now, Kim, we've had a few great discussions in other episodes, and I know you've got something again for me today. I don't know what it's going to be, but I know you're going to surprise me. Let's hear it.
Well, thank you. I will share my background and how it ties into mediumship. So I have a background. Mm-hmm. I have a background in healing arts. So I have sought training under a gentleman. His name is Don Massett. And unfortunately, he passed away, during the pandemic. But he was phenomenal. I spent many weekends with him training under his tutelage, in Cranial Sacral Therapy. So basically, it is all about releasing emotional, mental, and physical trauma that a body can entail. And not necessarily from this lifetime either. It can be past life trauma. And I wanted to share that under his tutelage, with other students. We've had some phenomenal and amazing experiences, and including myself. I have had past lives regressions.
Wow.
And it actually brought about re-experiencing that trauma, which was, wow, I was in the moment from that time, in a different lifetime. But it released it. And it brought me forward. And it also made me realize that during these sessions were all about the feelings of abandonment. So I had experiences that I kept onto in this lifetime. So therefore, I experienced it here as well. So that is a belief system that I am. So by partaking in these healing sessions, to be a healer, you have to be healed yourself. So I had to go through the process myself. And so therefore, I'm much more stronger, and I shed the belief system that I deserve to be abandoned. It is my fault. So that's what a belief system is, something that doesn't belong to you. You could be a rapist victim, and you can hold on to the belief system that it's your fault, right? When it's not. You need to let it go, right? The rapist has to have its own responsibility. So, that's just an example. And I just wanted to share that with you. Do you have any questions on that?
Yeah, look, this is a really interesting topic, Kim, because there are, we're programmed from the time we're born with different beliefs from different people. And it doesn't just have to be our parents. It can be teachers. It can be something we might overhear, a conversation. It comes from, those beliefs come in from many different forms and many different sources. When you were talking about the spiritual learnings that what did you call it again? Sacral therapy?
Well, the classes that Don, provided, he called it Cranial Sacral Therapy,
Right.
CRT,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah. So,
So
um,
with learning that, is that the only way people can get rid of beliefs or move beliefs? And how would someone recognize a belief that isn't theirs?
well, one, there's always different ways to bring about healing. One can go to a Reiki master, one can receive, a session through mediumship, and then that actually brings about healing. You never know, every time I do a mediumship reading, I don't know what's going to happen. I might have a clue. I might have one or two things that come to me that morning or in a dream or the day before. And I've actually had spirit come to me a few days in advance, and I kept.
Yeah.
So, so you just, so it can come. So I don't want to say you have to go to a cranial sacral therapist or you have to go to a Reiki master. It's whomever you were attracted to trying to, bring about releasing. And that doesn't mean not see your regular doctor. I would never encourage that, but like if you have health conditions, let's say cancer, and you're going through all the treatments, if you can really do it, I encourage you to take on the holistic energy, as well, to help combine and help you, through that process. Because, you're a spirit, your spirit needs to be treated as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I forgot the second part of the question that you asked.
The second part was, how would someone know that a belief needs to be moved or a belief they have is not serving them well? How would they recognize this? How would it surface?
Okay, so maybe somebody has a fear. Maybe a woman doesn't want to go out of the house. She's always fearful that something's going to happen to her, but she can't put her finger on it. Perhaps she had been ambushed in a previous life, right?
Yeah.
Or that she had experienced traumatic experiences. So therefore she's like, okay, I need to stay safe. So I'm going to stay in the house. Okay. Fear, that keeps persisting, right?
Yeah.
Feeling abandoned all the time, um, and experiencing abandonment. Maybe a woman experiences abandonment with every boyfriend she has, and I'm not saying that it's her fault, and I don't want to say it's her fault, but I do encourage her to explore, where she's been all these centuries, and how it, to explore what is impacting her now that has happened before.
Yeah.
And things like that.
Yeah.
I hope that's clear for you.
Yeah. So basically I mean, for a lot of people, it may be a case that these, certain beliefs come into their awareness when they start to see a pattern or something that isn't working for them anymore, so they start to then question, why do I think like that? Or why does this keep happening? Or like, do you think that plays a big role in that self-discovery?
Oh, definitely. Because like I ran into a lady, she's like, oh, yeah, I've been in 5 car accidents, and I'm thinking,
Wow.
wow, why, right?
Yeah.
Right. And I don't want to say that it's all her fault. I don't know the full details, but my immediate, perception as a healer is like she could definitely benefit, exploring, the healing part of the holistic spirit to resolve that, to clear that out, right? To
Yeah.
always experience trauma. There's a belief system somewhere, right, that impacts
Yeah.
her in some way.
Yeah. And someone may also, do you think, experience conflict, when they're, torn between two belief systems where they, okay, I'm going to use the word that we've previously discussed in another episode, their intuition or their gut feelings telling them one thing, but the brain's telling them another, or you know what I mean? And it's that back and forth, back and forth. What would you say to someone who may be experiencing that over something?
Definitely start exploring getting help, connect with other people's, explore meditation, explore different books and topics to find the right path for you. I can't tell you to go to this one person or that one, or that other person. I want you to realize you have free will. Everybody has free will, and doubts and fears freezes people in spots where they don't move energetically into making changes. Sometimes it's easier just to sit with the fear and doubt because they're comfortable with it, but it's not normal.
Yeah, yeah. And realistically, once that intuition or that gut feeling kicks in, that you just know something's not right, that's usually the first sign that they should start digging deeper, isn't it?
Yes,
Trusting the intuition.
definitely. Yeah, definitely. Seek help. Counseling is good too. I don't want to say not to do counseling. I've actually have gone to a counselor off and on. And that really helped me to release a lot of stuff that didn't belong to me. And, and I felt so much better. And then I found later in life, I went back for more counseling and that helped release even more. So that is beneficial as well. Right?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I agree. How can mediumship help someone release a belief? Is it a message from a spirit, or in mediumship that you do, are you able to, or does past lives come up when you've done readings or mediumship for people?
Well, in the medium, I'll give you an example. There was a lady, and God bless her soul, and I'm just going to call her Lisa, which is not her real name. So she came to me about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. And it was really interesting how I actually brought somebody through she did not like, somebody that, it was a stepmom. And so it started out with, well, she's showing me this nightstand. She's showing me the kitchen. She's pulling out this, utensil, you know, and and then she immediately is like, oh no, at first she was like, I don't know. But then I described her. And then she's like, I don't know if I want to talk to this person. She immediately, was like, ugh, she was repulsed because this person had caused a lot of trauma to her as a child. And so I said to her, okay, she's probably here to help you to heal. Do you want to accept this as a process and to hear her messages, so that you can move on? So she relented. And she's like, it was her choice,
Yeah.
I mean, because once she realized whom I was bringing through, I gave her the choice. So it's her free will to accept hearing her messages. And so she's like, okay,
Yeah.
So I brought through, the different messages, and the different things. And, and it released a lot of pain in her, and she apologized. She admitted that the spirit on the other side, admitted that she was not, that she is responsible for her actions. She apologized. She was wrong. And she was not, a good stepmother to her, and so this really did bring about healing for this sitter, Lisa. It really was a moving. I was surprised by it, but because I have the background in holistic healing, I wanted her to recognize. That's why I said, well, do you want to hear it out? This could be, a key for you to move on with healing. And it did, and I'm so happy, that she took the choice to accept the messages. And so it turned out that when I was describing the nightstand and pulling out the kitchen utensils, the big spoon, what she was doing was the stepmom would come into her room, and then she would the Lisa, the child, was by the nightstand, and she would hit her on the head with the spoon, just disciplining her. That was her way of disciplining her. And yeah. So when she realized I was describing the nightstand and pulling out the big spoon, and then describing the way she was dressed, she was like, "Oh my gosh," right? Of course, we immediately say, we don't want that person around us. Get that person away from me, right? That person has been brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But that's look, that is a really, really valuable story, because I'm sure there are listeners out there that are fearful of getting a reading or healing in some form, in fear that someone that they may not like, who's passed on now to the spirit world, may come through, or someone that they feared, you know what I mean, or who did harm to them, could come through. But as you've just, expressed, that spirit came through to apologize and also to help the sitter, Lisa, have healing, to get that healing that she needed, which is a really beautiful ending, really, isn't it?
It was. And then for her to realize that the stepmom is in the light on the other side, she's not that way anymore. But she wanted Lisa to have closure so that she can have a more enjoyable life and let go of that attachment. Here's something that's really important that I learned about the word attachment, and forgiveness. So, and this is from the training from Don, which is so amazing. You can have an attachment to a past experience. So when you have an attachment to it, that means your emotions are still connected with it, the pain. Like, how could you have done this to me, right? But when you forgive, it's not necessarily saying, I forgive you if you say, I'm sorry. Forgiving means releasing the emotional attachment. So it's just to me, I thought that was a really vital concept to understanding forgiveness and what it truly means, to unattach from it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because there's so many people I will never forgive, but that is a really, really great perception and another great way of looking at forgiveness. That's really empowering to the person, isn't it? It's really empowering.
It was for me when I understood the true meaning of it. It's just so amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And so much power gets held in that word, doesn't it?
Forgive. Right. And you can forgive somebody, but you don't have to tolerate that person's, you don't have to keep receiving whatever, the difficult treatments or the attitudes. You can forgive somebody, but you don't have to tolerate that person anymore either, right? You don't have to be in their lives or his or her life.
That's right. Exactly. That's exactly right. And it just goes to show that even mediumship readings bring about healing. It's not just about it's about hearing from a loved one, obviously. I mean, that's first and foremost. But it's also, there's just so many aspects to a reading, isn't there? There's the messages, there's the evidence, there's the emotion and the essence that gets felt in a reading. And like you said, just the wonderful way, healings can happen, especially from past, loved ones, or even ones that weren't loved, so to speak, or, who traumatized someone on the other side, coming through the person that they least expect to give them healing. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, and I'm really happy for this young lady, Lisa. She's a busy mom with 2 children. And so she's actually come back to me for a second reading, and then she'll be back again later, so I'm really happy that she's come back. But I'm so happy for her because she's excited about exploring her own intuition abilities this summer. So she signed up, she saved her money up, and so she's got a starter thing going. I'm like, go for it,
Yeah, that's amazing. And from that one reading and that one message, and, the apology and what you just described has now set her on this path of, exploring her own spiritual journey.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's incredible.
She chose. Yeah. She chose to accept, to hear the messages. And then it was up to her to accept, the messages, right? The apology. So, and that was her journey. And I'm glad to be a part of that.
Oh, incredible. Incredible. Thank you so much, Kim, for your time today and sharing with us these amazing stories and insights. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. Likewise.
Where can people find you?
I am on Facebook and Instagram, Divining Kim, but and I also have a Facebook page, Healing Path for You. And so my name is Kim Liddell, so you can find me there. I have a website, askmediumkim.com.
Fantastic. And people can book readings on any of those platforms. They can contact you.
Definitely. They can reach out to me. Yeah. If they don't book right away, they can reach out to me, so, yep.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kim. And I look forward to seeing you on the show very, very shortly. To view the show notes, head over to themediumstable.com.au. If you want to watch these episodes, head over to our YouTube channel, The Medium's Table Podcast.